Here we have the infamous Burt Dam. Burt Dam is a dam situated on a tributary of Lake Ontario. It's not a very long ways away from the lake, so a lot of lake run fish end up here. Steelhead, brown trout, king salmon, coho salmon, some landlocked salmon. And here is a little snippet of me, a Virginia boy who has no business fishing for these lake run fish, attempting to catch a big salmon so that I could have some good steelhead bait, because the eggs from the salmon are very good if you cure them yourself. It makes really good bait for steelhead fishing, and it's something that I enjoy doing. So what I'm doing here, I'm pitching a little soft plastic egg with some split shot upstream of me and just picking up the slack as it drifts back down towards me, ticking across those rocks. It's a good way to catch steelhead and brown trout, I know. I don't really know a lot about getting the salmon to actually bite. I've fished for them maybe 2 or 3 times, and I know there's ways to do it. You can fish skein under a bobber. Sometimes they'll hit spoons and spinners and stuff, but when they're getting harassed as much as they are at this spot, I think it's very challenging to get a fish that doesn't want to bite to begin with to bite. So I was kind of hoping to just stumble across a brown or a steelhead, or what would probably happen is I would end up flossing a big salmon. And really, I didn't care how I caught it. I just wanted one female so I could get some eggs and get the heck out of here. I had just broken off, so I'm re-rigging. I realized that I'm now standing out here on this gravel bar in the middle of the stream, and the hooks I have with me are just the hooks I use for steelhead. That's a size 12 hook, I think, that I'm about to put on. Maybe a size 10, but not a big enough hook to try to be catching a salmon. Also, you can see I'm shaking because it was very cold and I'm standing out there in this water. Like I said, I just wanted to catch a salmon and get the heck out of there. I'm standing out there. I don't have the right hooks, but you can't leave your spot here, because if you walk away to grab something from the bank, somebody will stand where you were just fishing. So I'm just rigging up to go for it. Oh, you the man. Little brown. So despite people in New York not being nearly as friendly as the people I'm used to running into when I fish in Virginia, the guy next to me was kind enough to grab his net once he saw that I was hooked into a fish.
If you're offering, I'm gonna. All right, appreciate it. I'll grab his tail and then you can be on your way. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So I'm not sure if it was my cold hands or just being out there in chest deep water. I was having a very hard time handling this poor trout. It's funny, this is a small fish for here. It's probably an 18, 19 inch brown. And where I'm from, that would be a very respectable fish, but it's actually a small one at Burt. You can see I stuck my hands in his gills because I just could not get control of this fish. However, I do have my fingers between just his gill plate and that first gill raker. So I'm not actually in the gill rakers. It is not good to hold trout like this, but if you have to, as long as you stay away from those gill rakers, you have a better chance at keeping that fish alive. You can see I'm trying to keep him in the water, trying to get him to calm down because I just wanted to take his picture before I sent him on his way. I'm now hooked into a pretty sizable salmon. I had hooked several others, but because of the way this one was fighting, I was pretty confident that it was hooked in the mouth, so I was kind of excited about that. It was a male, unfortunately. I was looking for a female so I could get the eggs, but that's all right. I was going to try to do my best to land him because he was fair hooked. You end up foul hooking a lot of fish when you fish around as many fish as there are at this dam, especially with how big they are. And you just got to do your best to either break that fish off or pull the hook out when that happens, when you can tell they're not hooked fair. You really don't have the option to try to fight that fish all the way in and get your hook out of him when it's a foul hooked fish, just because of how many other fishermen there are. It's just not a realistic option. But when I have the fish hooked in the mouth, I'm going to do my best to fight that fish, even though he's going to go all over the place. I don't remember exactly how long it took me to land this fish, but I know I fought it for more than 10 minutes. I was fishing maybe a size 4 hook on 12-pound leader, which is pretty stout stuff when you consider fishing for salmon and steelhead. And I was putting a lot of heat on this fish because you just have to when you're fishing around this many guys. And it still took a while. It was a big fish. So this is definitely combat fishing. People will be fairly respectful right when you first hook the fish. Everybody will kind of pick their stuff up and they won't keep casting. But once you fight that fish for like 2 minutes, they're like, buddy, I don't care if that fish is 25 pounds. You should have had him in 2 minutes. You should have had him on the bank. Should have just pulled him right up on the bank. And it doesn't really work like that if you're trying to land the fish that's fair hooked and you're using legitimate tackle that, a fish might actually bite. Everybody eventually just started fishing again while I was still fighting this fish because it took me about 10 minutes. Just kind of funny. I mean, I don't blame them. It's just a cluster. Like if you go fishing at Burt Dam, it's just going to be a cluster. But it's kind of funny how everybody like starts to be respectful, and then they're like, "Oh, you haven't landed it yet?" Like, all right, we're just going to keep fishing.
I'm trying, man. I think it's in his mouth. It felt like it.
Yeah, I had the peanut gallery over there making some comments and laughing. I don't know. People just think that you should take a giant fish, and as soon as you hook him on an itty bitty hook and some 12-pound leader, you just drag him right up on the bank. He's done right away.
Hey, wait, just so you know, I'm not crazy. You see my hook? That's why I was actually fighting it. That's a pretty big one, isn't it? Or a decent one?
So you can see that hook's right where it's supposed to be, and it's going from the inside out, which in theory means that he bit it. Honestly, I don't think that he did, but maybe he did. Regardless, it was a fair hooked fish, so I played it out like you're supposed to and did everything right, and it seemed to just really confuse everybody that was around me because I don't think there's much of that going on there. So there he is. It was a pretty big one. I know there's a lot this size, but that is a large fish no matter what way you put it. I don't really recommend Burt Dam I mean, maybe if you're close, you go fish there, or maybe if there's not many people, which I guess at some point maybe that happens. But I was just there because everything else was blown out and I was trying to get some steelhead bait. I'm glad I have experienced Burt Dam so that I can understand the references made to it, but that is about all I need.